This is ASS Breaking News.
Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar!
Good evening. I'm Brock Jurgensen of ASS News. Thank you so much for joining us for an ASS News exclusive. Tonight, we'll be speaking with the Taliban spokesperson, Mujahedeen. As you saw in previous weeks, during her first press conference, Mujahedeen set a new course for how the Taliban want to conduct business.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the new and improved Taliban. We're here to be more inclusive. We're here to make sure that everyone is represented the way that they should be. Welcome, Habibis.
Now, during that press conference, Mujahedeen was challenged on a number of things, what the Taliban plans on doing. This is her answer to what the first item on their agenda was. First of all, Mujahedeen, what is the first item on the Taliban agenda?
Well, what we love to do is makeovers. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be introducing new turbans. We're going to be, doing makeovers on beards, different kind of styles. And of course, we're going to be introducing soap to the Taliban because holy shit doesn't stink over here.
And as it continued on, Mujahedeen tried to speak on some of the issues relating to climate change, as well as some other things.
Mujahedeen, what do you say to the Biden administration after they pulled out?
After they pulled out, well, honestly, it was the best thing to happen here in Afghanistan. As you can see, we're becoming more inclusive by the day. We are not beating people in the streets. No, we're giving them love taps. That's what we like to call it now over here. They're just love taps. That's what they are. I mean, we haven't when people get shot in the streets or something. I mean, it's just love. It's all love, inclusiveness. I mean, that's what we're here to do. And the new and improved Taliban is to include everybody.
Mujahedeen, I have another question that is completely off topic. But when it comes to the Daily Mail reported that the Taliban is going to be focusing on climate change and trying to curb carbon emissions. What is the Taliban's proposal in getting that done?
Oh, of course. I mean, the best thing and the quickest way to do that is to get rid of all the infidels, of course. I mean, the more people you kill, the less carbon footprint that there's going to be. And the best way to do that is to start off with the infidels.
Now, it actually gets a little trickier from there, because what ended up happening after that is that Mujahedeen spoke specifically to the flag behind her. You said that the Taliban is going to be more inclusive, and I can't help but notice that there's an LGBTQ flag behind you amongst your colleagues within the administration. What is the Taliban stance on the LGBTQ community? Because aren't they opposed to them in particular?
Well, that is an excellent question. Thank you very much for asking it. But we are the new and improved Taliban. We're going to be here and imposing rights in accordance with Sharia law. And if you don't like that, you're Islamophobic. What that means is women's rights will be in accordance under Sharia law. My rights will be in accordance to Sharia law. So you might not see me tomorrow. I mean, it's up in the air. But this is the new and inclusive Taliban under Sharia law.
And with that, we're joined by Mujahedeen. Mujahedeen, oh God. We're having some technical difficulties. Let's cut to the commercial real quick.
Nice to meet you guys. We're doing great. It's wonderful. Dr. Washington State. Not hiring me anybody.
And dominated right-wing centric legislatures and the far-right members of the United States Supreme Court, whether it's a crime and whether it's real, maybe Mueller will look into it.
Women are smarter in politics, smarter in civics, they're smarter in economics. Women rule.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What's going on, Habibis? I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Jay Kobbe.
We're the Habibi Bros. Welcome to another episode of Habibi Power Hour. There we go. How you doing tonight, Jay?
I am doing wonderful. I mean, I'm sad, Allah yarhamah, but Mujahedeen is gone. She was she brought a light to the Taliban that you don't really see often.
Yeah, may she R.I.P. in peace. We'll never forget her.
Inshallah. Inshallah. How you been, Habibi?
I'm good. Had to carry that whole fucking solo. Cold open solo. Now for all the Habibis tuning in, welcome to Habibi Power Hour exclusively on Rumble. You can follow us on Twitter at Habibi_Bros. You can find me on Twitter at Siraj Hashmi. And Jay, where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me on at Asliken. That is ASSLIKEN.
I just want to
Asliken.
I just want to hear you say your it fills me with so much delight and joy. Abe Eckstein, thank you, says, how much do you pay how much do they pay you per porno, Siraj? Not enough. Not enough. Fuzzy says I look like the soup Nazi. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Jay, you've actually been making the rounds recently, man.
What are you talking about?
Dude, you haven't seen?
No.
You haven't seen any? All right, hold on. Let me show you.
What is that, high school? That guy's a legend.
Jay, that was you. You put on the wig. That was your guy. That was your exact same height.
Oh, absolutely. What was that? 5'4"? Yeah. That's me right absolutely. There.
Yeah,
I love running around in high schools saying I eat ass. That's that's my favorite thing to do.
And your influence is also spreading, for lack of a better term, to I have to say to college football as well. Did you see this?
Oh, let's see it. I mean, college moms and high school moms both are exactly the same.
Look at that.
Him go.
Look at them go.
Absolutely amazing. That is fantastic. I wish I have an Eat More Ass mask, but it's in the car. I went to Vegas and all I was doing was wearing that everywhere I went because they had the mask mandate back in Vegas. So it was amazing looking at people just turning and looking and seeing exactly what it is. I had a couple of people come up to me and ask if it was about some song about eating more peaches. And I was like, no, it's about eating your mom's ass. That's exactly what it's about.
Oh my God. And then Jay, your influence is also spreading to the hip hop world. I mean, look at this. This is from Nori's interview with Trick Daddy. Look at that.
When you say women to support the eat booty gang, you saying women is eating the booty?
Yeah, women eat the booty too.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I don't know whether to make noise for that or not.
Yeah, I get 8 out.
Yeah, wait, what? What is that, man?
I get 8 out. Listen, man. Check this out.
All right, Trick, you don't have your legs in the air, though.
It depends.
Absolutely. I mean, come on. You want them to get in there sometimes. So sometimes you give them a little help. You raise your feet up.
You got it.
It's not as hard as you think it is. It really is.
Yeah. So we're talking like legs in the air on your back type. That right?
Yeah, legs on. Well, I'll follow you here, but legs up, holding your legs, lifting them back even more for it, helping them out a little bit, letting them get right in there. I mean,
get right in there.
That's the way to do it. There's no better love. Like you don't know that they're the one until they eat your ass. When they eat your ass, you know they're the one. Or a hooker you paid $69 for. One or the other.
Carl says, with that 70s newscaster mustache, Siraj is channeling Ron Burgundy's Middle Eastern counterpart, Rayhan Burgundy.
That's beautiful.
And then Janice says, I look like Frito Bandito. Sorry. So I'm glad that we got through the ass eating part, because that's how we always want to open up the show. Also, special thank you, obviously, to first of all, Shana Tova to all the Jubibis out there. Happy New Year. Many happy returns. Hope all of you
Eid Mubarak.
have Eid Mubarak. Hope all of you had a very lovely New Year. There are some Jubibis who couldn't join us, obviously, because it's still Rosh Hashanah. But if you happen to be tuning into this later, a very heartfelt Shana Tova to you all. And then Jay,
Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan. We also have to thank Ben Shapiro for joining us on the show this past week. That was quite a Jay. I mean, I didn't think it was actually going to happen, and then it happened.
Right. It was great. I mean, it was an experience for sure having him on the show. Seeing him with the background on, it was kind of surreal. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm kind of amazed that he was not able to partake in this discussion we literally just had about your influence spreading. Literally.
I know, but we were able to mention the 3 religions that were all a part of that show, and
exactly.
He did look like he appreciated it.
Yeah, he really did. And he also appreciated talking about that.
Yeah, you guys did a really great rendition of it.
He is a good singer of the vet-ass pussy. So
the best part of it is how he was explaining what it meant line by line in proper English. Like that was the funniest part about it, and he did it so well.
It was so good. It was so good.
If you need a mop, you might need to go to the doctor. You could be dehydrated.
Yeah. I mean, we are, if anything, we are very worried about your health and safety, and plus we don't want anyone slipping. But Jay,
right.
There are, to get into the news of this week. First of all, Labor Day happened. That seemed to at least quell some of the heat on Texas. And then Texas Governor Greg Abbott did the unthinkable. Right after the Supreme Court basically, or essentially,
100%,
didn't do anything on the abortion law, meaning that they had to, they could have blocked it, and instead they didn't do anything. So it was implemented September 1st, and that law basically stated that women who are pregnant cannot get an abortion after 6 weeks without being penalized. And I believe the abortion provider was given a $10,000 fine. We'll see how it's enforced. But that first started with people calling Texas the Taliban. So they call it Texas Taliban. And then Abbott followed it up with signing a new voter bill, an election integrity bill, Senate Bill 1, signed it on Tuesday. And it was designed to specifically restrict a lot of the I would say, what's the best way of putting it? A lot of the programs within voting that happened during the pandemic. So they had 24-hour drive-through, both 24-hour voting and drive-through voting because of the pandemic. Yeah. They basically imposed new hurdles on mail-in ballots, and then also gave new, I would say, expanded the freedoms of the partisan poll watchers. Now, there were a few things that actually, I was going through this and I was like, first of all, Jay, I'm looking at some of the cutoffs here. First of all, counties that had 24-hour voting by a provision is now limited to 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. voting, which is still pretty good. It's not like, I mean, Jay, how many people between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. are going to the fucking polls to vote?
Well, and also, especially because of what's happening with COVID and stuff, you're not going to see a shit ton of people out there wanting to go and vote compared to what you would see normally. I mean, even though it is Texas, you're still going to have some people who are fearful of COVID. 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. is perfectly fine. I would be pressed to see.
No. 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I said. 6. Did I really? I mean, who needs more than 4 hours, you stupid fuck?
Who the fuck needs 4 hours?
You need to read the whole fucking thing. Just vote yes or no.
Hold on, Jay. If it was 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., I could never vote because I would never wake up before 2.
You wouldn't be away. It would have been gone long past.
I would be the first person, demonstrating at the Texas state capitol, at the Texas governor's mansion, saying, "Give me back my right to vote. I'm not even registered in this fucking state."
Right, and you will start the protest at like 4 p.m. You say you're going to start it, and then it doesn't happen until 8 when everybody else is like asleep and shit. And you're just there all alone. I'm going at 4 p.m. Fuck this shit.
I'm going. Where is he? So they also banned drive-through voting, which was a very basically implemented in Harris County. Harris County is where Houston is. Now that was basically there for the coronavirus pandemic, and 127,000 people in the county cast their ballot at 10 drive-through centers, including a parking garage at the Toyota Center, which is the home of the Houston Rockets, also known as the Xi Jinping Rockets. But there's also the vote by mail ID mandates. Now, people are going to say this is racist until they actually read it. Now, this particular voting by mail, those who are over the age of 65 out of the county on election day or have a disability or illness that prevents them from voting in person are eligible. They will have to provide either one, their driver's license number, or the last 4 digits of their social security number twice. Once on their absentee ballot application form, and then once on the envelope when they return their ballot. Now, I don't know what the situation is with people and their social security numbers. I don't seem to know if that is an issue with people not knowing their social security numbers. If you don't know your social security number, you probably shouldn't be voting to begin with. But
so racist. No, I'm just playing.
I mean, like there are plenty of irresponsible people of all backgrounds who may not have, who probably forgot their social security number. Trust me, if you forgot your social security number, you probably shouldn't be voting to begin with. But at least you have that in case people can't get ID, which is something that has been decried as being racist because apparently Democrats think that people of color, particularly black people, can't get driver's licenses or government issued IDs.
But they can get vaccine mandated cards and then get vaccine passports. They can definitely do that when you only have like what 20 or 60. I think it's like 22% of Black Americans vaccinated and stuff. And they want.
I think it was 27%, but in New York City.
No, I was thinking of nationwide from the CDC.
Oh, they actually have What? Wait, what? Well, why would the CDC have that
has numbers? They have that information.
They have that? Really?
Yeah, that's why that polling from MSNBC was so fucking fucked up.
Because they have to probably go by your app. Well, Jay, I mean, I don't know what it's like in every single state or county or municipality, but you do need ID to get the vaccine. You do. I mean, I had to get ID. Everyone has to prove who they are. I mean, like, they're not going to let you get the vaccine like 69 times.
Nice.
Will they? They can't.
Well, they're going to probably want boosters for the rest of like forever.
Right. They probably will forever. And that's probably what's going to happen. But it's like one thing after another. And you know what? I'm okay with it.
I got the vaccine, you got the vaccine, they got the vaccine, we got the vaccine. We can get back to normal, let me inform you, let's all get the vaccine. It's about community immunity, I'm talking unity for you and me. If toxic says it's good. Trust me, it's good. Now let's all get the vaccine. Alright, there is none higher. DMC, I will inspire. Time for us to trust and not debate. The vaccine, believe it's safe to take. 9 out of 10 people won't get sick. That's 90% effective and legit. This COVID thing is real and it will find you. It's killing our people. Let me remind you. Back in the days, there was polio, smallpox. Back in the days, measles and mumps, man. Back in the days, but because of the vaccines, none of those days. Vaccines, they work to trigger immunity. 2 shots, we got antibody security. We gotta act now. No need to wait. Get your vaccine before it's too late. For real.
Okay. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, back to the Texas voting bill. So one of the things, Jay, that's also interesting, and this was a big issue over the last, I don't know, however many years, at least in my lifetime, signature matching. Signature matching has always been somewhat of a conundrum when it comes to matching people's mail-in ballots. Texas is getting rid of that entirely and replacing it with what I just mentioned before, driver's license number or the last 4 digits of your social security number twice, which, Jay, I gotta say, pretty good move.
Right. It's so much better. I mean, but just like everything I sign your mom. So my signature is your mom. That's what it is. It's not Mujahed Kobbe. It's not Jay. It's literally just your and then mom. In like,
is it you are mom or YOUR mom, or is it YOU''RE mom?
No. Your mom on this dick. No, it's your mom, as in YOUR mom.
Excellent. Okay. So there's that. They're also banning officials, public officials. That means Republicans, Democrats, and especially those fucking libertarians from mailing unsolicited mail-in ballot applications. Now, they actually make it a felony for any public official to send someone a mail-in ballot application that the person did not request, or to even pre-fill any part of that mail-in ballot application they're sending to someone. So
that's great.
I mean, that's great. That's good. That's a good move. I mean, people should not be like coerced into voting for a particular candidate. And this is a nice, good measure to ensure that basically everyone can't take advantage of that system.
Right.
And
I
then
mean, it's really hilarious that the people who are cheering on the illegal aliens coming through the border are the same people who are really, really pissed off on having voter integrity laws happening in Texas. It's interesting.
Wait, what?
So the same people who are cheering on having like open
borders,
yeah.
Oh, you're just saying the lack of security. You're just saying the lack of security.
Exactly. So they're decrying it as racist, but voter integrity laws should be in place for citizens,
absolutely.
Especially
no,
it's
but you know, I mean, Jay, I mean, we've had this conversation so many times, and it is obviously astonishing to see that post 2016 election, when everybody thought that the Russians had infiltrated and tipped the scale of tipped the election in favor of Donald Trump, every Democrat was saying we need election integrity measures, we need to protect our elections, we need to centralize our elections, we need to do X, Y, and Z to make sure the Russians can never hack our elections again. And all we found, at least through the number of investigations, whether it was a Mueller probe, whether it was from fucking everything relating to WikiLeaks, all they were able to do, the Russians, is hack into Hillary Clinton's email server, which we know was already a target based on the number of national security warnings and red flags that went up in 2015 and 2016, and her basically shrugging it off like it was no big deal. And then you find basically her entire email trove out there, as well as the DNC emails as well. And it's just, that was one level of like the quote unquote Russians hacking into the elections, but that wasn't really hacking into the elections. It's hacking into email servers. We have to like delineate that because people are idiots. But
absolutely,
the answer to that was like everybody, when people say like the Russians interfered in our election, everybody almost like people who are like, I'm thinking like 70 IQ people or 69 IQ.
Nice.
Yeah, like 16. It's very nice IQ.
Just like you. And
They almost always think that like they infiltrated these voter machines and like flipped votes, like the allegations that you see from 2020. And what we saw from 2016 is that when it happened they had all these different, investigations. Every single time they have tried to decry anytime like a Republican brings up, we need to protect our elections, it's deemed as racist, it's deemed as sexist, it's deemed as ableist, it's deemed as Islamophobic, it's deemed as transphobic. I mean, it's literally every single name you could throw at it. And I mean, if people don't trust their elections, how will we know if any election is legitimate?
Right. It's very hard to actually be able to trust elections moving forward. The polarization, whenever somebody else wins, is to the absolute extreme. You had Joy Reid talking like Alex Jones, basically.
Yeah,
exactly like
that's
Alex
actually
Jones.
well, Joy Reid, interestingly enough, Joy Reid has basically sounded like Alex Jones ever since, at least in my view, ever since Trump got COVID last year.
Right. Well, I think
that was like her Alex Jones moment.
Right. And from then on, everyone else wore the tin hat, saying that, like you were saying, that the Russians actually changed votes and we need voter integrity laws and we need all this kind of stuff. And then when Republicans bring it up, they're like, "Oh, you're being racist. Oh, you're being transphobic." They're trying to throw every fucking word at it as they can, but it's really hilarious that they change their view right when their guy wins. It's I gotta polarizing.
Yeah,
it really
I gotta read this. I read this. I sent this quote to you earlier this week. I thought this was absolutely amazing. From former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, who served under President Barack Obama. This is what he said. I quote, okay? He says, SB 1 is an appalling anti-democracy effort by Texas Republicans to construct barriers to voting for people they believe will not support them. What makes this bill and similar ones Republicans are pushing across the country even more un-American is that Republicans are using the big lie about the 2020 election as a pretext to support them. The reality is that these bills have nothing to do with election integrity or security, but rather are discriminatory. And I'm going to repeat this part here. But rather are discriminatory measures making it harder for all people to vote. Okay? I'm going to repeat that one more time. The reality is that these bills have nothing to do with election integrity or security, but rather are discriminatory measures making it harder for all people to vote. All people to vote. How the fuck is it discriminatory if it's making it harder for everyone to vote? Now, that's not really making it harder for people to vote. It's making it harder for them to cheat. And then he continues on by saying these bills will have a disproportionate impact on communities of color. Okay, so he tries to save himself with that one.
Yeah, at the end of it. But it's really funny because when you hear these people talk the way that they do, it's in the same breath, they totally contradict themselves throughout the whole thing. I mean, it's the same thing with Biden when he came up to talk about Afghanistan. Every other fucking sentence was him like eating his own words. He's like, all the people who stayed wanted to stay, but we were going to go and bring anyone back.
Jay, let's be nicer, okay? He wasn't eating his own words. He was eating his own ass.
No, because when you eat your own ass, and when that happens, you reach nirvana. You reach a state of being that nobody has ever.
Hence why I say, let's be nice, Jay. Okay, let's be nice.
The guy's so demented. Like if he's eating ass, it's probably chocolate chip ice cream, and he's like, "Oh, I'm eating ass."
Oh man. Anyways, you're saying about Biden in Afghanistan.
No worries. I mean, it's the same thing that they're trying to do. Every time that they say anything against this stuff, they're eating their own words, because you can just go back a couple of years and they were saying basically the same stuff in response to the 2016 election. I mean, fuck, even till now, if you talk to them about it, they'll still say it's illegitimate and it was cheated, or it was, rigged, or any of this kind of stuff that you hear people who believe the big lie say. Yeah. And The only difference is that you have the people in the media believing the big lie of 2016 and then demonizing the big lie of 2020.
I also find it a little, I also find it a little bit like confusing when people say the big lie, because if people say you believe in the big lie, like, hey, that can go either way. Like, people could believe that Joe Biden legitimately won the election, and that would be a lie to the opposing side, or people could, if people believe in the big lie, but they mean it in the term of that, like, that there was massive like voter fraud that led to Joe Biden becoming president, that would be seen as the lie, obviously, to the other side. So it's just, I hate using that term, the big lie. It's confusing as fuck, because anybody can be like, oh yeah, I believe in the big lie. Well, which one? Which one do you mean?
Yeah.
I have to share this one bit. This is actually from a CNN article, and I hope you can see the top left. Jay, can you see that? You see what's right underneath CNN politics, the Biden presidency, facts first, U.S. elections. It says voting rights under attack. Okay, this is supposed to be a nonpartisan publication, supposed to be, okay? And they literally already have it fucking baked in by writing out this headline, or like this title or banner that says voting rights under attack. They're not under attack if you actually read the fucking bill. It makes it harder for people to fucking cheat, not harder to vote.
Right. But they do this on purpose, because they keep on saying, like, when you have somebody like Brian Stelter, or you have like Jake Taper, or you have somebody on that who pretends to be an objective, like non-biased fucking reporter, it's a fucking lie. Journalism as a whole is a fucking lie. Until these people are held accountable, like this Eric guy or Brian Stelter, or fucking anyone who claims to be an objective journalist who is caught being a complete activist, journalism as a whole is a lie, is a complete, utter fucking lie. Everyone is an activist. Everyone has a bias, and everyone wants their team to win. And you can see it in the way that people report different stories, because this Eric guy is supposed to be showing an analysis, or like a
Jay, it's an anal assist. Okay,
there you go, an anal assist. And when you do an anal assist, it doesn't matter if it's a male anus, or if it's a female anus, or if it's a two-spirit anus. You're unbiased to the anus. But this guy is completely biased to the Biden anus. So he will stick his fucking nose all the way up in there and come back out and lick the brown off of his nose. That's what Eric is. And that is what most journalists on fucking CNN's payroll are. Complete fucking kiss asses when it comes to shit like this. Absolutely.
So Danielle says, not that voting is hard, but why should it be easy? That's a great question. Now, I am all for expanding people's... When people have the right to vote, you should make it as easy as possible for them to vote. But obviously, it is the reason why it should be incredibly hard to at least gain access to become a voter is because voting should be held sacred. I know Democrats and Republicans probably agree that voting is a right that's sacred. If it's sacred, why shouldn't we treat it with sort of the sanctity that it deserves and make it not difficult for select groups to vote, but make it very difficult across the board to even be given that like right to vote? So like if you immigrate to this country and you become a citizen, that is one thing. That's one example. It's like it takes many years, obviously, to get a green card, to then become, take your citizenship test, and then basically go through your what is it, the ceremony where you become an American citizen. Like that is one example where it has become, I think, those like barriers are in place to make sure that if you want to be a part of this country and you want to be contributing and voting in the elections and making your voice heard, then yeah, become a citizen. Of course, it's going to be a difficult road for you to get there, but there are tons of people who are in the same boat as you. And my dad did it. I had a number of uncles and aunts who did it, and cousins as well.
My dad did it. My uncles flew in buildings and did it. Yeah.
Too close, man. It's too close. And we're canceled. We're just canceled. But yeah, once you have that right to vote, then yes, it should be easier to, cast the ballot. But like some of these things, like the 24-hour voting, like nobody's voting at fucking 3:00 in the morning. Come on. No one's, the drive-through voting, that was for the coronavirus pandemic. Most counties in general did not do that. Okay.
Right.
If you were going to vote, a lot of people would go in person and they wear a mask. Some people would, a lot of more people would submit mail-in ballots. And again, that made it so, because there weren't previous restrictions from state to state on what mail-in ballots were, and on how mail-in voting went, you had like 4 states in the entire country that mainly only did mail-in ballots. I think it was Oregon, Colorado, Utah, and then there was one other one, Jay. I'm trying to remember.
Utah did mail-in ballots only?
Not mail-in ballots only, but mostly. I think they have mostly mail-in ballots. But that was prior. But that was prior to the 2020 election. It's escaping me right now. But basically, I think maybe Alaska or Hawaii. I can't remember. But either
the
way.
problem with Alaska is that you have to fly a plane to your next fucking.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense for them to do mail-in ballots, but then again, like someone has to fucking pick up that mail.
I know, poor bastards.
Yeah,
but and you're right, and I think like voting should be held to a sacred standard, absolutely. And Democrats and liberals, they like to really insult the intelligence of minorities by saying that they can't get IDs, they can't do any of that kind of stuff, but they can get vaccine passports. I mean, I can't get off of this issue because, to me, when you see the rates of who is getting vaccinated, who is not, and it doesn't even have to be a racing, it can also be a classist thing as well to these, liberals. They're half of them. Well, okay, not half. 33% of them are fucking socialist, commie dumbasses who like to talk about classism. And if you're going to impose vaccine passports, you're being classist. It's going to end up being where you're going to have the rich people and the poor people going to different places because they can't get not get vaccines. They don't want to get the vaccine, and they're not going to have access as the same thing as rich white liberals are going to be getting. I mean, you see that through the policies here in California as a whole.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I wanted to correct myself. So as of July 2020, 5 states did almost entirely mail by voting, and that was Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Utah, and Washington. So not Alaska. But they did get Hawaii right. So
yeah, Hawaii makes it listen. There you go.
Yeah. So, but Jay, you were saying that the media shit, and I feel like that's like a good segue to talking about this next story, and that is everything that happened over the last week with this fucking ivermectin story. Now,
oh God.
In Oklahoma, a news channel, K4, reported last week that rural hospitals throughout the state were in danger of becoming overwhelmed by victims of a very specific poisoning. Overdoses of ivermectin, an anti-parasite drug promoted by vaccine skeptics as a possible treatment for COVID-19. That's from Reason. The story went viral and was seized upon by the mainstream media, but its central claim is substantially untrue. The meat of the story is a series of quotes from an Oklahoma doctor, Jason McKillia, who appears to attribute overcrowding at local hospitals to a deluge of ivermectin overdoses. McKelliey tells K4, the ERs are so backed up that gunshot victims were having hard times getting to facilities where they can get definitive care and be treated. The story ran under the headline, Patients Overdosing on Ivermectin Backing Up Rural Oklahoma Hospitals Ambulances. It was picked up by the Rolling Stone, Newsweek, New York Daily News. Rachel Maddow of MSNBC tweeted it out. Basically with the implication that this like right-wing embrace of ivermectin, that it was some sort of crank COVID-19 cure, was dangerous not only for the people who consumed it, but for the stability of the entire medical system. But the story appeared to be entirely untrue because, or at the very least misleading, because there was actually little reason to believe a purported strain on Oklahoma hospitals is caused by ivermectin overdoses. One hospital served by the doctor quoted in the K4 article released a statement saying it had not treated any ivermectin overdoses, nor has it been forced to turn away patients. And there was actually, I believe, this quote here. Hold on 1 second. Let me share this with the entire class. Boomer Siraj kicking in again.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It's always
All
great
right.
when Boomer Siraj comes up.
Boomer Siraj makes his return. So this is from Northeastern Health System in Sequoia, Oklahoma. And they wrote this statement and the response saying, although Dr. Jason McKelly is not an employee of NHS Sequoia, he is affiliated with a medical staffing group that provides coverage for our emergency room. With that said, Dr. McKelly has not worked at our Sallisaw location in over 2 months. NHS Sequoia has not treated any patients due to complications related to taking ivermectin. This includes not treating any patients for ivermectin overdose. All patients who have visited our emergency room have received medical attention as appropriate. Our hospital has not had to turn away any patients seeking medical emergency care. We want to reassure and the blah, blah, blah. We don't need to read that shit. Sorry. But Jay, I mean, Jay, have you seen any hospital come out and say, actually, Dr. McKelly actually is bringing up a good point? I haven't seen it.
Nope, none. And it's really hilarious watching these fact checkers like Dick-Faced Dale over at CNN try to excuse and make it like it's a two-sidism and saying like both parties got it wrong because, Republicans jumped and pounced on this story or, right-wingers pounced on this story to showcase how wrong the media got some stuff and lied about it. But there are some things you have to look into and blah, 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 and like really trying hard to excuse it. But it's so funny to me that these people will harm their integrity in order to pass a narrative, even lie through their teeth. I mean, what the fucking hell? If you're a journalist and if you're going to try to do a story, why aren't you calling the hospital? Why aren't you doing your own due diligence before publishing a story that's going to make you look like a fucking idiot? And the shit that pisses me off even more, nobody got fired over this.
No.
Nobody got suspended. Nobody got fired. Nobody got written up. Nobody got nothing over completely lying over their fucking teeth for narrative. And that's what it is. Rolling Stone isn't famously known for being right-wing. The people they hire and the people they have on staff are all activists. None of them are true journalists. None of their editors, none of the people who are doing any of the stories, in my opinion, can be considered as true journalists, especially after a story like this.
So there is another story, and you feel like after the sort of, I wouldn't say reckoning, but sort of the backlash over this in particular story in Oklahoma, you would think journalists will learn their lessons. Fucking wrong. They never learn their lesson. This is from CBS News, published on Tuesday. This tweet saying patients forced to wait thousands of minutes in rural Texas ER with a quote that says, "We've never seen this ever." And the story reads, more than 5.3 million travelers were screened by TSA over Labor Day weekend. The alarming number has experts worried that this could lead to a new spike in COVID cases and deaths, just as hospital staff across the country are struggling to keep up. And they quote this particular doctor, Dr. Hassan Kuckley. Kuckley? Is it Kuck?
It's Kuck. Hassan or Siraj Hashmi Kuck.
Siraj Hashmi Kuck. Dr. Hassan Kuckley, who works at El Campo Memorial Hospital Emergency Department in Texas, is in a race against time to give patients specialized care with a lack of resources due to the COVID-19 pandemic. His patient, 50-year-old Aracela, has been unresponsive since being admitted to El Campo Memorial Hospital this weekend. She needs an ICU bed and an evaluation from a cancer specialist. El Campo has neither. Despite being just 76 miles from Houston, home to the world's largest medical complex and more than 85 different hospitals, Kuckley can't find her a transfer after hospitals find themselves overwhelmed with COVID patients. He says, quote to the reporter, "I tried to get her into the best cancer hospital in the world, which is also in Houston. They couldn't take her." And he says you would never see 4 digits on minutes since checked in, or 4 digits, thousands of minutes. We've never seen this ever, ever. Now, Jay, there are hospitals that have been overwhelmed throughout the pandemic. There's no denying that. I feel like this is almost a botched story in the sense that they wanted to initially blame it on ivermectin overdoses, and then they saw all the backlash to the K4 and the Rolling Stone and Rachel Maddow. Like, fuck, what are we going to do? All right, let's just put thousands of minutes on there.
And that's what they did. And the funny thing is, the only person who talked about minutes was a patient that was waiting in line. It wasn't like an actual doctor or anyone that they sourced that quote to.
No, that was unless the doctor. No, yeah, they quoted the doctor on that. It was Dr. Cuckley.
It was a doctor that talked about waiting minutes.
Yeah, he says we're 4 digits, thousands of minutes. We've never seen this ever.
All right, apologies. I thought it was a patient that they sourced to it.
Wow, Jay, you are fake news, Jay.
Oh yeah, I'm a fake news better than actual fake news.
Yeah.
But even so, it's still one doctor that they quote on this, like they did the ivermectin story with Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. They're so desperate for this narrative that the coronavirus is completely, overtaking everything. That even if you have cancer, or even if you're dying from a gunshot, or even if you're going to die right now, that an unvaccinated COVID patient is going to take your bed. And it's an absolute bullshit story.
And you're seeing like big name journalists. You're seeing even fucking Jimmy Kimmel, who came back to a show last night. Not that anyone cares or anyone watches, but apparently the content mill has to be fulfilled. So of course people were reporting, particularly Fox News was reporting on Jimmy Kimmel, saying that if you are unvaccinated, you should basically be denied medical care. This is a guy who had a son with a congenital heart defect and got medical care. Like, imagine like that lack of empathy going towards, say, Jimmy Kimmel's son of all people. Like, no one would ever approve. Like, anyone who has a heart would be appalled by that type of sentiment. Like, if unvaccinated people have to go to the back of the line, not for COVID, but for literally anything else, like, that's insane. Like, you're creating like a classist system where people, the vaccinated who are given preferred treatment, and unvaccinated for people who are, like, treated obviously way worse. And I mean, Jay and I are both vaccinated, and sure, like, would I like to be treated better than everyone else? Of course, Jay, because I've been Muslim and millennial and a journo my entire life. Well, not journo, but I would love to be treated better than everyone else. This is obviously the case because the Habibis dunk on me 24/7.
Well, because you deserve the dunking, absolutely. And it's really funny that these same people who preach for medical for all, or healthcare is a right, or any of this kind of stuff, completely change their tune when they think it's a Trump voter. When they think it's somebody on the other side, or when they think it's a Republican or anything like that.
They only have that like stance, that sentiment when it comes to someone who is someone who doesn't share their politics. So like, if that person is unvaccinated and they're, say, a Trump voter or they're Republican, no sympathy. Well, but if they're a Democrat and they're unvaccinated, then it's like, oh, come on, you got, like, there's the tune changes like right on the dime.
Right on the dime. Like, and you have to, and it's really funny to me because you have to respect, and you have to like give in to the delusions that some of these people have when it comes to gender, when it comes to like identity, when it comes to all of these type of different kind of issues that people have in their minds. But when it's somebody who votes Republican or somebody who votes on the right, you have to have no sympathy. It's totally fine to jump on their graves, to dance on it, to be like, oh, that guy who died, who had like 3 kids, well, fuck him. He was against vaccine mandates. It's like, dude, like, come the fuck on. It doesn't matter. If they're against vaccine mandates, it's different than being for the vaccine or for masks or any of that kind of stuff. But they have zero tolerance. They have zero empathy. And they want to pretend that if you don't share in some kind of delusion that they have on reality, then you're the one who wants everyone to die. It's insane to me. I just don't understand their delusion. I can't.
Prison Mitch says Siraj's wife waits 60,000 milliseconds for him to reach completion.
That's less than 6 seconds.
Thank you, Jay.
I'm just helping all of the Habibis.
Thank you. You're good. You're really good at math.
You're very welcome. It's only when I drink. I'm almost done with this bottle, by the way.
Well, Jay, while this whole hospital thing is currently blowing up, and you have Jimmy Kimmel basically shitting on everyone who's unvaccinated, there was actually a huge bombshell report from The Intercept, and hardly anyone is talking about it unless you're in like alternative or independent media. Basically, everyone within the corporate media and mainstream media, with the exception of The Intercept, is talking about. Although I guess The Intercept isn't really technically considered mainstream, but anyways,
right?
They uncovered more than 900 pages of materials related to U.S. funded coronavirus research in China that were released via FOIA lawsuits, specifically, not FOIA requests because they went through a lawsuit period. But these documents, and I'm not going to get through I'm not going to go through the 900 documents, but I'll just give you kind of a summary of what they found. Now, from The Intercept, they write, newly released documents provide details of U.S.-funded research on several types of coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. The Intercept has obtained more than 900 pages of documents detailing the work of EcoHealth Alliance, a U.S.-based health organization that used federal money to fund bat coronavirus research at the Chinese laboratory. The trove of documents includes 2 previously unpublished grant proposals that were funded by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. You hear that one? The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Who's the director of that? Who's it? Fucking Fauci. That's who. As well as project updates relating to EcoHealth's Alliance's research, which has been scrutinized amid increased interest in the origins of the pandemic. Now, there are a lot of people who would be like, the pandemic is here. Why should we care about the origins, about where it came from? Well, here's the reason why it's so important to figure out the origins of a fucking pandemic. And so sure it never fucking happens again. And if it does, we know how to fucking contain it, okay? I don't understand some of these brain dead people who particularly the Fauci simps, who are being like, oh, Fauci didn't do anything wrong. Bullshit. This guy has been in the federal government for like 4 or 5 decades at the most, Jay. At least since the 80s. Since the 80s.
His pet was the same species of dino from the Flintstones. If you guys didn't catch that, I watched Flintstones every Saturday.
What?
Dino, the dino dog.
Oh, Dino wasn't the dinosaur?
Yes, that was his first pet. That's how long he's been in this fucking position that he's in right now. The guy is old. The guy is a skeleton, and the guy is a fucking snake. He's everything you hate about a bureaucrat. That is Fauci.
Yeah, he's a bureaucrat. He's a bureaucrat. So, I just want to detail a little bit more about the particular report from The Intercept. Gary Ruskin, who is the executive director of the U.S. Right to Know, a group that has been investigating the origins of COVID-19, told The Intercept that this is a roadmap to the high-risk research that could have led to the current pandemic. Now, one of the grants titled, quote, unquote, Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence. It outlines an ambitious effort led by EcoHealth Alliance President Peter Daszak to screen thousands of bat samples for novel coronaviruses. The research also involved screening people who work with live animals. The documents contain several critical details about the research in Wuhan, including the fact that key experimental work with humanized mice was conducted at a biosafety level 3 lab at Wuhan University Center for Animal Experiment and not the Wuhan Institute of Virology, as was previously assumed. So, the names have changed, but the players remain the same. Okay, that's an unimportant development. That particular part. But the documents raise additional questions about the theory that the pandemic may have begun in a lab accident, an idea that Daszak has aggressively dismissed. Daszak, of course, is the EcoHealth Alliance, which is a private entity involved in receiving U.S. federal money to fund this research on bat coronaviruses. Now, the bat coronavirus grant provided EcoHealth Alliance with a total of $3.1 million, including $599,000 that the Wuhan Institute of Virology used in part to identify and alter bat coronaviruses likely to infect humans. Even before the pandemic, many scientists were concerned about the potential dangers associated with such experiments. The grant proposal acknowledged some of those dangers, including a particular quote that says, "Fieldwork involves the highest risk of exposure to SARS or other COVs, that's in COVIDs, while working in caves with high bat density overhead and the potential for fecal dust to be inhaled." Jay, we all know how you feel about fecal dust. Yum. Now, Alina Chan, who's a molecular biologist at the Broad Institute, said the documents show that EcoHealth Alliance has a reason to take the lab leak theory seriously. She says, quote, "In this proposal, they actually point out that they know how risky this work is. They keep talking about people potentially getting bitten, and they kept records of everyone who got bitten." They got records of people who got bitten, Jay. You can easily trace where the fucking virus probably started.
Where it started.
If they have records of it. Now she goes on to say, does EcoHealth have those records? And if not, how can they possibly rule out a research-related accident? So I'm not going to continue going on, but like that is the big drop right there, is that they know how risky this research was. They continue doing it anyways. They have records of people. They tried to take precautions over letting that particular virus or any virus leak out of a lab. Yet it's pretty reasonable to assume at this point, I'd say the general consensus, if you don't believe it now, you probably have your head in the sand. But if you don't have your head in the sand, you probably are with me and Jay in the sense that this probably came from a lab, and at least from a lab, whether wittingly or unwittingly.
Right. It's not their heads in the sand. It's their heads up so far Fauci's ass that they're totally in the dark. They don't see what's actually going on. And Fauci lied from day fucking one. And I mean, either if it was about the masks, about the lab,
well, he definitely lied to Congress. It looked like, Jay. I mean, remember that Rand Paul exchange. I don't know if he parsed words. We have to like go back and look at it, but if he's got to get dragged to Congress, he's got to answer for this shit, because there's a good chance that he lied to Congress. And if he did lie to Congress, well, he probably won't face any, obviously, penalties or consequences for it, but he should.
Oh, absolutely. He should face consequences for that, and also lying from day one about the whole thing. I mean, he lied. It's not exactly about the whole thing, but there were lies during his whole fucking, stardom, being in the spotlight. Not only in the testimony, but also when he went on CNN, when he went on about talking about like masks aren't effective, you don't need to go get them, you don't need to worry about this, and then all of it has changed, and the narrative has changed completely.
I will push back, Jay. I will push back, because there were obviously mixed messages on the mask stuff. Now, I remember in his emails that were reported on, he said back, I think in February of 2020, that masks were not effective. And he continued that line until basically everyone was like, you need to fucking wear a mask. And then he's like, all right, I guess we got to wear a mask now. Right. I don't know. I don't know how dishonest he was about that. I can't really tell where his head was at, or where his heart was on that, or his actual intent on that. That one is still out in the air. I mean, he's definitely dishonest now. But that's not like the sticking point for me, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Right. No, I totally understand where you're coming from with that. But I think it's a good point to make, that how he changes his narrative on things. And he also changes his narrative on what pandemics are and how to handle pandemics as well. I mean, he's been in this for hundreds of fucking years already. You can go back in the 70s when he talks about pandemics as well.
Right.
And the only people who report on this stuff are like Fox or the Daily Caller, or anyone on considered on the right side of politics would report on how he has flip-flopped a lot on his beliefs and his policies and his ideas of what and how to handle pandemics. And the fact that we can see these reports, this isn't the first report that comes out and basically showcases that this guy has lied about funding going to the Wuhan lab. This isn't the first report. There was another report, I think it was like a year and a half ago, that came out from It was also a left-wing publication that came out.
But I'm definitely with you. I think Fauci lied about the Wuhan lab. I think he needs to face the consequences for it.
Yeah, he's a fucking snake.
But there'll never be the public pressure coming. You know, like you'll never. I won't say never because we saw it happen with Andrew Cuomo. But at this moment, I'm not seeing the level of public pressure that needs to be there in order to get Fauci to basically answer for a lot of these questions that seem to just come out of nowhere. But through the diligent reporting of people at The Intercept, who, by the way, they've had other reporters at their publication basically try to say, you know, like basically go against everything that they just reported on. So it's just insane.
I know, it was really funny because they reported on it before they got the approval for these documents that they got a hold of when they asked for them. And it was really, really hilarious seeing that happen. And the person who called that out was Glenn Greenwald. Like he really showcased it.
Who you should also check out on Rumble. He's got his own channel. Go ahead and check it out on Rumble. Andrew Maloney, thank you, says, total media black on Fauci yesterday. Twitter trends even tried to explain he was trending for a totally unrelated reason, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I remember that. I don't exactly remember what it was. I think it was in relation to college football and how people shouldn't be packed in stadiums. Right. But like at this point, it's fuck you to the government. We're not answering for shit. And all of the people who are probably at those games are vaccinated anyway. So
yeah. So fuck you. I mean, and fuck all that kind of shit. Like live your goddamn life. Live it and live it happily. Like, look, if you want to be in a room locked forever and want to be taking 69 booster shots and want to wear a mask while you're in a car alone, that's your choice. You live your life miserable as it is. But everyone else who wants to live their life that is actually worth living, that's not your call. And fuck you for thinking that it is. Honestly. And then dancing on people's graves for living their lives or wanting to not step on other people's freedoms. It's just it fucking enrages me.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, this is like something that's like become like a sticking point with like even within like among friends and among family. I mean, everybody goes through this, it seems. And it's like you always have someone who's a bit self-righteous and wants to like be like, you need to wear a mask. You need to like, you need to socially distance. Like, please don't tell me how to live my life. It's as much as I love and respect you, like I'm never going to tell you how to live your life. So don't tell me how to live my life. Simple as that.
Exactly.
So, I mean, look, Jay, you and I both got the vaccine out of choice. Okay. We wanted to get the vaccine. And you know what? And we were talking with Ben about this. Not Ben Morrissey, who needs to be fired, but Ben Shapiro last week that he had this particular graph that says like, you have like these two different camps, and the majority of the people in like the camp of those who are vaccinated are worried, and those who are unvaccinated are not worried. And like you, me, and Ben, and like maybe like a few, like a very small percentage of people who are vaccinated are still in that unworried camp, because like we got the vaccine, and yeah, sure, there are breakthrough cases, but none have been really that severe that have like killed people around our age.
Right.
So it's just everything's insane. But there's another story that Fox News reported on earlier today that I didn't really get a chance to go through, but we'll go through it right now. And the headline reads that CDC tightened masking guidelines after threats from teachers union, according to emails that were leaked to Fox News. Now, this is the National Education Association. They sent a draft statement to the White House officials that includes harsh criticisms of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's masking guidance. And the teachers union ultimately published a version with a much softer tone when the CDC clarified its guidance to indicate that everyone should be masked in schools, regardless of vaccination status. Now, these new emails show further coordination between the White House and teachers unions, just months after reports highlighted the extent the unions had influenced the administration's messaging on school reopenings. Now, a watchdog group, Americans for Public Trust, obtained the emails through a FOIA request and provided them to Fox News. And the CDC announced on May 13th that fully vaccinated Americans could stop wearing masks indoors and outside which apparently sparked confusion about how this policy would apply to schools. And then a day later, Erica Dinkle-Smith, the White House Director of Labor Engagement, said she stopped the NEA, the National Education Association, the teachers union, from releasing a critical statement that had called for immediate clarification. And now Dinkle-Smith wrote in the email, Dinkle, would you know when Dr. Walensky would be able to call NEA President Becky Pringle? They've gotten significant incoming and are getting targeted for response from the media. I've gotten them to hold on their statement calling for clarification. So, Jay, what we're seeing right now is a president. Now, again, this is not uncommon. It's not rare. Okay, you're seeing just another president who is or at least an administration that's beholden to a special interest group. In this case, the teachers union.
Right.
The teachers union, as far as we know, Jay, is basically the president of the United States at this point. I mean, like when it's focused on schools, they're the president of the United States. Now,
yes,
if it's all about, if they're making decisions based on bad press, they shouldn't be in positions of power.
Right.
They shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't happen. And it's very insane because this is the second time we saw this happen. This isn't the first report coming out saying that there was collusion between teachers unions and the administration. This is the second report to come out like this. And it just goes to show that teachers unions are a threat to the well-being of children of this nation. They are not here for the best interests of your kids. They're here for the best interest to line the administrative pockets of these teachers unions. They don't give a fuck about your children. They don't care about how well they're educated or not. I mean, if you look at public education and how it's been doing over the years, it's been pretty fucking shit. And the more you go into states that have heavily public schools, the worse they are. I mean, we have 12th graders reading at the level of third grade in places like Maryland. This isn't something to celebrate. And for the administration to listen to these people as showcasing how awful of a job they're doing for the kids of these nations is disgusting. It really is. Yeah. There's no other word for it other than disgusting. They do not have your children's best interests at heart.
Yeah, and no, that's been the case with teachers unions. Totally agree with you. They don't care about your kids. They only care about themselves. They care about job security. They care about basically all the perks that comes with being the teacher without any of the drawbacks. And they, I'm not saying that they are the sole reason why public schools are crumbling, but they are definitely one of the main reasons.
Yeah.
So
they are, and they are also the main reason why school choice has made such a huge jump within the pandemic is because of the way that the teachers unions have been handling all of this.
Yeah, and just imagine all the people 100%. That have moved. Essentially, Jay. Now, taking a break from the COVID stuff, we want to get to a couple of items here real quick. We are going to, before we get to our happiest segment of the evening, which is the very end, which we take your questions, we are going to do a quick PSA, and that is on Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, which is this month, the month of September. Now, Mary Childers, go gold. Fuck cancer right in the face. And childhood cancer in particular has been, a particularly terrible like blight on humanity. There should never be any child who has to suffer through cancer. I've said this in weeks past, and it doesn't get old. I fucking hate childhood cancer, and I think everyone else does as well. I want to bring up this one particular item here, because if you give me just a moment, because I am, as always, a boomer, and I can't get anything.
The absolute fucking greatest boomer.
I'm the greatest boomer, and I can't get anything to work right away. So let me just try to get this going right here, because we want to honor the memory of two young individuals who were gone too soon. This first one is Blake Payne. Blake Payne was the son of Renee Marsh, who is you can see right here in this video. She is a CNN reporter. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Renee and being on a segment with her when I was over at the Washington Examiner. Very nice lady. And they had her and her husband. They had little Blake. About 2 years ago, he died at the age of 2 from battling a year and a half. He had I wouldn't say it's a glioblastoma, but definitely was brain cancer. And then you have little Beans here. Beans, born Francesca Kaczynski, the daughter of Andrew Kaczynski, K-File, as you may know, another CNN reporter. It's so heartbreaking, obviously, to follow their very public battles with, kind of detailing their children's battles with cancer, and then ultimately seeing them succumb to those particular ailments. And we have included some links in the description of these this video. One is for the Blake Payne Foundation. I'm sorry, the Blake Vince Payne Star Fund. Let me go ahead and just pull it up. You can go ahead and check it out. Basically, they are raising $150,000 to give to the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. Now, pediatric brain cancer is the deadliest form of all childhood cancers. Nearly 5,000 children are diagnosed with brain tumors each year, and despite that fact, no drug has ever been developed and approved specifically for children with brain tumors. All of them are for adults. The profit-driven pharmaceutical industry will not prioritize research and development of cancer drugs for children because the kids represent a much smaller portion of the market compared to adults. So these kids are forced to rely on adult cancer drugs that have dangerous side effects and kill their healthy developing cells. Even if they beat cancer, they face a lifetime of health conditions. Now, I already mentioned little Blake, as you can see here, the Blake Vince Payne Star Fund. There's another foundation. Oh, you didn't even see it right here. This is where the boomer kicks in, and I feel bad again. Jay, save me from myself, okay? Save me from myself. So this is the Blake Vince Payne Star Fund.
They're almost there. They're almost at their goal, and they're going to reach it in no time. But Habibi's.
There's another one too, and that is let me go ahead and show this one real quick. And that is the Team Beans Infant Brain Tumor Fund. Now, they have raised $939,000, and they are planning to also establish a new infant brain tumor program. There's a petition also at the bottom of the description of this podcast and video that you can go to if you are interested at all and basically battling and combating childhood cancer. This particular petition was actually started by Renee Marsh. Let me make sure I'm getting the right page here. God, this is every single time, Jay. Me manning the board and hosting, worst combination ever. So this is like little Blake, you can see right here, but they have 12,673 signatures, and they are trying to get to 15,000 signatures. Now, the purpose of this is to basically to get the Biden administration and Congress to provide more funding for childhood cancer research and developing drugs that will be effective against the actual cancer without harming the child as severely as adult cancer drugs do. So we humbly ask that you all give, the next child that goes through this a chance to fight. And that's basically all we have to say on that. And obviously, our heart goes out to Renee Marsh and her family, as well as Andrew Kaczynski and his family. And Jay, I know this is not really like a pick me up from that, because the very next thing we wanted to talk about was the 20th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. Now, this is a bit more frank, in the sense that I don't really have a script and I don't really have any focus on my camera. So I'm just going to let you kick it off, Jay. Oh, there we go. Now I'm back in focus. God, I really need a new camera. Tell us a little bit about your 9/11 experience, because you actually, I think you and I both were not. Were you actually in the United States when 9/11 happened?
Yeah, actually, I was, because I was. It was during a time where my parents were separated, and my mom came back to Oklahoma, and my dad was in UAE, and I was actually in history class when this happened, because she was like, history is happening right now, and she goes and turns on the TVs. And I'm like, why are we playing a movie? Like, that was the first thought in my head, because the only thing we saw was the first tower in flames, and like there was smoke coming out of it. And it's like, man, why are we watching a movie right now? This isn't history. And we saw the second plane hit, and it was just not registering that this was real. Like, this was really happening as it was going in. And it was insane to see, people sitting next to me just in tears. And there was actually a couple of people who had family in New York City at the time this happened and stuff, that were just freaking out when this was happening. The only thing I could think of is, like, did my uncles feel any pain when they flew in? And I'm not so sure.
Oh my God, Jay, you went down that route so quickly. Jay. Oh my God. All right. I'll give you this one. I'll give you this one time. Okay. You say anything on 9/11, you're catching hands, buddy. Okay. It's technically not 9/11. So
not yet.
Oh man. Wow. Imagine if you said that shit in front of Ben Shapiro. What? I mean, not Morrissey. I said, imagine if you said that shit in front of Ben Shapiro. Oh my God. Oh man. So anyways, yeah, you get Jay, if you just want to get us canceled by both the left, we already got us canceled by the left. Now it's time to get canceled by the right, basically.
It's gonna happen. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, no, I mean, I'm actually in the process of writing a piece on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. A lot of it incorporates everything that sort of happened this year, as well as, because I've written about my specific personal experience with 9/11. I was living in Lahore, Pakistan. That's where I partly grew up. I'm originally from Hartford, Connecticut, but I moved to Pakistan in 1995, and I had, as I recall, everything happened in the afternoon for me, because it was like 9 hours ahead, and I was at home sick, so I didn't go into school that day. But I was watching the news and the only like cable news program that, or cable news channel that our TV cable service provider had, was Fox News. So Fox and Friends was on, and they had basically got the wire in that a plane hit the World Trade Center. So they got a live shot of the first tower on fire, and then boom, I watched the second plane fly into the was it the South Tower, I believe. And yeah, it's so hard to believe that happened 20 years ago, Jay. I mean, I don't want to, like, obviously, everything that happened post that, like, that's an experience I've discussed many times, and I'm not trying to make this about me, so I'm not. But the raw feelings that you get from that day, they really, you really wonder how people can do that to each other.
Yeah. No, it really was. It was surreal. Like, in all seriousness, it really, really was surreal, and in the way that it happened, and the devastation that you could see happen. It was the first type of attack that ever was on American soil in modern history. Like,
Well,
and
not
the fact
modern
that
history, but at least in our lifetime, because I guess we could go.
yeah,
You know,
right.
let's say
And now
the
there's gonna be a lot
continental
of people.
United States, not Hawaii with Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
Exactly.
it's unreal. Like the fact that, and the fact that we've also been at war for so long, and I feel like terrorism's making a comeback, given everything happening in Afghanistan and the Taliban,
And Al-Qaeda.
it was and Al Qaeda and ISIS K. It's just, sure. Maybe these factions hate each other, but when it comes to dealing with the United States, they're basically buddy. Like, there's no question about it.
Right.
And
on that, I need to go use the bathroom.
oh my God,
So
Jay.
you can start the Ask Us Anything.
No, you know what I'm gonna do? Actually, yeah, I'm gonna start us ask us anything. Our favorite segment. What a segue. Starts off with me being a boomer, ends with Jay having to go piss. So yeah, send in your question. Send in your questions. Yes, ask us anything. Ryan Chinigo says, did you see the tweet from Kyle Kalinske about wanting Joe Biden to extort Joe Manchin to vote for the $3.5 trillion spending bill? I did see it. Have not had time to go list it, or at least evaluate it, because I was busy prepping the show for you guys. Is Ern really a Chihuahua? I thought he was just a fatty King Charles Spaniel. He actually is a Chihuahua. Janice asks, where is Ern? He's going to be coming over soon. I'll grab him in a minute. As soon as Jay comes back from his question, his making. Nick says, what do you think Sleepy Joe is going to announce tomorrow regarding COVID? I think Joe Biden is going to say the same shit that he said all the time. Unless, of course, he's going to say, I'm now shifting all of my attention towards the NRA. I can see that happen. Looks like Jay's coming back. Hey, LB's back. Says, Siraj, where are you? Looks like a silent Gitmo. Fingers crossed. Yes, I'm in Gitmo. Jerry's coming to visit me. Rico says, Siraj, how do you feel about Brie blocking you so fast? I'm actually surprised she didn't block me sooner, because I definitely put her on the list way before this. Fuzzy says, when are Gunners going to get a goddamn point? I hope soon, inshallah. We'll see. Jay, go ahead and answer some questions. I'm going to go get Ern.
Oh, God damn it. Nice. What is up, Habibis? Well, not always. It's only when I'm drinking like a whole bottle of bourbon. I mean, I did pretty good. Please stop interacting with my mom. I gotta ban her. That's what I'm going to do. It's not a baby bladder. Come on, guys. Like, I doubt people drinking a whole bottle of bourbon can actually hold it in as long as I have during the whole thing.
Right. I got Ernie, and then I also have Gracie. Come on, Grace. Come here. Here we go. We got Ernie and Gracie up in here. Oh,
we got two.
You stop.
We got two. It's a baby.
Okay, fine.
Look, Nick, if you think 2 inches is a baby penis, I don't have anything to say to you, because honestly, it's not. That's average, right? Am I right?
What is it?
2 inches hard is average,
Mm-hmm.
right?
What is?
Or is it me being 2 inches hard to you is above average, but in general, it's pretty average.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Grayson wants to get out. Okay, fine, Grayson. Yeah.
James F asks, what would be a good, simple idol animation for Siraj? Probably just standing there with the pin emoji in his hand. That would be a good one. Yes, king and queen.
Yeah, that was
King
Ernie
is
and Gracie.
Ernie, and Siraj is the queen.
Thank you. Ryan says, Siraj, why is Ernie licking your fingers? Where's your hand been? I was rubbing Jay's forehead.
That's exactly where I put the peanut butter too.
Yum. Rico says Jay's mustache is better than Siraj's mustache. Yeah, no question. Jay's mustache is infinitely better than mine.
Well, we're going to be doing the porn stashes again here in a little bit, which is going to be fun, especially before No Shave November. What we're going to have to do is really not shave at all until
I need to stop picking my fucking beard. This is why I had to shave this off. Jay, it's impossible.
It's not. It really isn't. Like, if I could quit smoking, like cold turkey for like 4 years, you can quit picking your beard.
Inshallah. I did a good job over the summer, and then it all fell apart.
Look, you know how I quit smoking?
How?
I started eating Dan's mom's ass. Every time I felt like a cigarette, I went and ate our ass. So if you want, I can give you her number. Every time you feel like picking, all you got to do is fly over to Florida, and you're in Florida, and eat her ass. You'd be good.
Let's see.
And there's a question on Rumble. And Anime Model asks, when will the reptoids leave the humans alone?
Never. Never gonna happen.
They've been here for millions of years. They've accumulated all this fucking wealth and status that we're not going to see them stop.
Essentially.
100%. They've lived in the hollow earth for millions of years.
So, anything else, Jay? Anything else we need to get to? We're not going to do a premium episode this week. We're gonna kick back, relax, enjoy the rest of the week.
Short week.
We'll have we're probably gonna have 2 episodes for you next week. Oh my God, Harkarat. He says, hello, Habibis. I just joined now. I just add, reading about hate crimes against Muslims and Sikhs after 9/11 is devastating. Oh man. Yes, I do know about that first Sikh victim. I don't know why I read this in a fucking Pakistani accent. I feel terrible. Oh,
well, it's because you're racist. You saw Hakrat and you're like, oh, hello, Habibi.
Well, he always asks for the Baijan voice, so then I naturally feel
that is true. I
naturally feel the need to respond with the Pakistani accent. So, anyways, let's see. Why are so many of the reptoids pesos? What? Stacy says all I do is kick back and relax. Yes, that's true. All right. Well, Habibis, Jay, is there anything else for us? Do we need to address?
No, Habibis. That's okay. About it. We got 2 episodes coming your guys' way next week with 2 guests, inshallah.
Inshallah. So, who we got? Who are we trying to get on the show, Jay?
So we got Arita Panay, and she is I don't know why I say her last name in that accent, but she is an Australian media personality that I'm very excited to have her on for next week, because she's like I feel like she's a sister to me, like a Habibti sister, because every time I talk about eating ass or I do a raunchy tweet, she's like, Jay Mujahed or Jay Habibi, like, rethink your life.
And the other person we
It's
are
awesome.
slated to have, the other person we're supposed to have slated on is Drew Holden, the thread maker, the master of threads on Twitter. So that should be a fun episode as well. Hopefully he'll give us the rundown of some of the worst that he's seen, because Drew and I have very similar lanes, but he and I just do it a little bit differently.
You do it lazy, and he actually does.
He actually puts
research.
work. He actually puts like hard work into it. Zachary asks, opinion on Elizabeth Holmes, the Theranos chick on trial. Honestly, I don't really have any thoughts, because I don't even know. I don't know everything there is to know about this Theranos deal. Do you, Jay?
Well, basically, what happened is that she was it was based on an insane breakthrough in technology and a promise that was too good to be true that people absolutely latched onto in the medical industry. She was touted as the Steve Jobs of the medical industry, bringing promises that she did not keep whatsoever at all. I haven't watched any of the documentaries that are on there, but I hear they're really, really great and really well done, especially the one on Netflix. But yeah, she's fucked, and for good reason. I mean, she lied and fucked over powerful people for millions upon millions of dollars, and they're coming for her ass.
I gotta say, Jay, I'm just really happy that we finally reached equality, and the gender jail gap is finally closing. We've had so many men charged with white collar crimes. It's about fucking time we have a woman be charged with a white collar crime. Love to see it.
Alhamdulillah.
Progress.
Alhamdulillah.
Progress.
This is the Taliban.
All right, Habibis. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Rumble. And you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Habibi Bros, Habibi_Bros. Find me on Twitter at Siraj Hashmi. Jay, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at AssLicken, and that is ASSLIKEN.
Very nice. Habibis. For the Habibi Bros, I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Jay Kobbe.
And this has been another Habibi Power Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. Love y'all. Peace. Masalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.